Well, I think obviously economic inequality is huge. Poverty in our numbers has swollen to unacceptable ranks. It's always unacceptable for human beings not to have the basic needs in life. But if you'll remember, Dr. King spent the last years of his life fighting against poverty, what he called militarism, and the triplets, militarism, poverty, and racism. And he certainly wanted the reality of poor people brought to bear in the larger society. I would say the persistence of poverty, the unacceptably high unemployment rate of African American people, above 17%, which means it's probably closer to 20. Those kind of issues are serious, but poverty, the working poor, people who get up every day of their lives and work and can't make ends meet, that's a kind of issue that King would fight against. He would also fight against the blight of the lower working class, the middle class. We talk about Occupy Wall Street and the like. Dr. King led a movement that, had he lived, would have gone to Washington, D.C. to occupy that city. They did, in his death, in the aftermath of his death, do so for about a couple of months in Resurrection City. But that was an idea that he, along with many others, came up with to say these are people who are poor, they have no jobs, let's bring them to Washington, D.C. to dramatize their plight and predicament. Dr. King's death forced us to come to grips with the need and necessity of having a systematic attempt to bring racial and radical democracy to bear upon America, not only in terms of housing, but in terms of education, a more aggressive pursuit of affirmative action, and what that might mean for America. Intellectually and spiritually, he became an iconic figure, but let's not forget he was very unpopular at the time of his death. But his death was a kind of sweet martyrdom that swept away all of the contradictions and conflicts. So now we've seized upon King's image and iconic status as a reminder of the work we yet have to do.
That you can see somebody on the street and telling them that, do you want a job? And the young man might say, yes, I want it. Then you tell him, pull up your pants. You can't get a job going into with an interview with your pants sagging. They don't want that kind of representation. We need people to go out and a role model. And saying that, I was on the street one time, and a young man had a gold chain link, and he was wrapping around, showing his friends, said, look, I'm going to be a pimp. And then he looked at me and said, no, I'm going to be a pastor. And I was glad enough that that young man could look at me and say, you know what? I see something greater. Not because I was a great role model, but I had enough influence, I had investment in this young man's life that he realized that, yes, a pimp may be negative, but I think he's doing something positive. I'm talking to somebody here this morning that they can see, when they see something positive and that is successful, it gives them an opportunity to say, you know what, I don't need to reach for the negativity, but I can reach for the positivity so that we can see more educators, we can see more lawyers, more doctors, more engineers, and not say that every time you ask a young person what they want to be, the next American Idol, the next top model, the next rapper, the next this. Those are good, those are great, but do we not need educators? Do we not need doctors? Who are you going to call when you get sick? Not Dr. Dre? And so when you look at what's being promoted of what is success and what's glamour, it's a time that our children's mentors have become television. And there was a time that the TV imitated society, but now society's imitating TV.
Every classroom, no matter what age, we have age pre-K to 20, or the day before they turn 22 here. And each class, it's the same expectations. We have behavior matrix for the classroom, the hallways, the lunchroom, the gym, the bathrooms, everywhere, and it's posted what are the expectations of the students, and if the students follow those, they get rewarded. We have Eagle Bucks, and they receive those bucks and they can purchase things down the line. We are also doing other incentives, food incentives, different things. Pizza parties for classes with the highest, rate and different things. So I think it's really going to be a great thing for our school. I think it's something that we already kind of focused on, but we definitely didn't have, the kids switch classes, and so in one class, the expectation or the rules may be this. In this class, they're that. That's just human nature. But this kind of takes that out of it, and having us united as one with our expectations, so no matter where the student is in the school, we are expecting the same things.
If there's a cut in your funding, how would you continue that?
We probably wouldn't, though we try to find additional monies in one place or another. We're primarily a rural area, so it's a little bit more difficult to do that. Some of our other programs, we tie in with some other funding.
For example?
Transitional housing. Okay. We provide housing for folks both in units we own as well as units that we negotiate with landlords. And we use several different types of funding to do that. So if one goes, we still would have that option. For project employment, at this point, we don't have that option unless we raise additional money.
Okay. Are there any other programs you'd like to let our viewers
Well, one other thing that we do that we find is kind of interesting is that we discovered along the way here that a lot of our families that have children, those children tend to not be able to participate in activities like other children, like piano lessons or playing junior tackle football or this and Little League type of things that they can't participate in because they don't have the money for the fees that are necessary to do so. So we started a program that we call Youth Enrichment, where we actually help these kids by paying for fees and then following up, encouraging them, and to see whether they, whether this is helping them to get along with their peers and to feel a part of life instead of being excluded. And the idea there is to hopefully prevent some juvenile delinquency problems down the road.
Captions News on the Go. We're with our friend Erica Barrett, who is the president of the African American Hall of Fame Museum, to tell us about a special event. But first, tell us, what is the purpose of the African Hall of Fame Museum?
The African American Hall of Fame Museum was put in place to allow the city of Peoria to know the impact that African Americans have had on the community, as well as non-African Americans, the impact they've had on the African American community here in Peoria, Illinois, and actually throughout the world.
And for years, the museum itself has been located at the Proctor Recreation Center, but coming this October, you guys are moving to a lot bigger space. Tell us about that.
Well, we will still have our historic location at Proctor Center because we've always been there, but we will also have a space at the riverfront, which will be the Wall of Fame, where we'll feature the different inductees over the years, as well as have an oral history space where people can come and tell a little bit about themselves and their lives since they've been in Peoria, where anyone who comes to Peoria and visits the museum will be able to learn.
And we should encourage people to check that out when the overall museum opens up in October. Now, you have the Red, Black, and Green Ball coming up this year. Tell us about that.
This year we will be inducting 5 new members to the Hall of Fame, and it is going to be on Friday, February 17th at the Paradise Hotel in East Peoria. We will have Doug Oberhelman will be our keynote speaker, and we're talking about making history now, which is what the Riverfront Museum is doing and what all our inductees have been doing along the way. So we're really excited about that.
And tell us how much the tickets are, and if somebody wants a ticket, and also what time it starts.
It starts at 6 o'clock for cocktails, and the dinner is at 7 o'clock. The tickets are $50 in advance, $60 at the door. You can either call me. My number is 573-8418, or you can call Rosemary McCullough, who is the historian, and her phone is 360-0990. You can also reach us through our email, which is aahfmpeoria@yahoo.com.
Welcome back. I'm so glad that you came back and joined us, because I think you're going to find this segment of our program as interesting as hopefully you found the first segment. In this segment, I have 3 guests, as you can see, and we're going to be talking about a hospitality training program, which is also offered at Southside Mission. I have immediately to my left Armontia Sturdivant, Tranisa Broussard, and Charlena Peppel. Ladies, welcome to Captions, and please forgive me if I may have mispronounced your names.
It's okay, I'm used to it.
Let me start with you, and I'll use your last name, Miss Sturdivant, or I also understand that I could call you Reverend Sturdivant.
Minister, yes.
Okay. I understand that you are the director of the program, the Hospitality Training School, am I correct?
Yes, I've been the director for a year now.
For a year. And these other 2 ladies are students of yours?
Yes, they're my students. Actually, this is a graduate.
Okay.
She graduated at the top of her class, and we have another one she's currently in our new class right now.
Fantastic. And you said that this program has been in existence for about how long now?
It's been about a year.
About a year.
Yeah, actually it is a year, a little over a year. And we started off with, I think, 2 students, and it just grew from there. Now we're graduating between 6 and 10 at a time.
Okay.
It's a 6 to 8 week program, and they have 3.5 weeks with me in the classroom, and then we send them to the hospitals or hotels.
Can you explain to the audience what hospitality includes in terms of, there may be some people who may not understand what hospitality means in terms of a career.
Okay, hospitality is a career of service.
A service.
It's a service, and it goes anywhere from housekeeping to housemen. So we have men in our program,
Okay.
And they clean the rooms. We have concierge. It's a big, huge department called hospitality within the hotel or hospital. They do everything from customer service. It's actually just servanthood, basically. Yeah, and so what we teach is we teach work ethic. We teach submitting to authority at our class, and we teach how to really take the values of our class and put them into the workplace. Everything that we teach is biblically based, so my curriculum comes straight from the Bible. And we take people who want a second chance at life, who just really want to turn themselves around, and we give them that opportunity. But first, I must address some things that they've been doing wrong up until the time they got to our class.
Well, that's fantastic. Tranisa, where are you from? Are you a Peorian, or have you relocated to Peoria?
I'm originally from Louisiana, but
Okay.
I've been in Peoria off and on for the last 16 years.
16 years. Well, welcome to Peoria.
Thank you.
I tell you, this place is like Velcro. Once you get here, you get stuck and it's hard to move on. I came here in 1970 and I'm still here, and I thought I'd only be here 2 or 3 years. But I'm so glad that you're here.
Thank you.
In fact, Louisiana, where at in Louisiana were you from? A little small town?
Lafayette.
Okay, because I know there's a lot of hospitality opportunities, particularly in New Orleans, where they have lots of guests and people and hotels and things of that type. What about you, Charlena? Are you from Peoria?
Yes, I am.
And where did you go to school?
I went to school, Sterling Middle School, Richwoods, and graduated from Limestone.
Well, fantastic, fantastic. And I would imagine that the 2 of you are excited about this opportunity to expand your career opportunities through this training program. What are your final career goals? Where would you like to end up in terms of completing this training school and then maybe going on and even furthering it? What do you see yourself doing 5 years from now, if or whatever period of time?